Hello everyone, I am the Golden Scouta, and welcome to my Dragon Ball Super Episode 120 review. I will be talking about the following categories for the review. Enjoy the video. So what I liked about this episode? Well, first, this episode was a step up from 119. And I already knew that coming in based on the next episode preview last week for this episode. I would say everything that I liked about this episode were the character moments for Gohan and numbers 17 and 18. Gohan really stepped up and looked awesome in this episode, and numbers 17 and 18 utilized their infinite stamina quite effectively. I thought for a second though that they were going to get disqualified for killing when they blew up that robot. Turns out that wasn't the case. So, what I did not like about this episode, we kept hearing about how these robots are so strong, and that's why they made it this far. But it doesn't feel like they've earned their place in this tournament. Every time Universe 3 fighters have been featured, they have been brushed to the side easily. So honestly, I think fighters that have been more consistently featured throughout the tournament deserve to be in these top spots. I mean, Universe 3 has power, tactics, and secret techniques as shown in this episode, but again, it brings up my problem with how these fighters with crazy abilities only really bust them out on their featured episodes, leaving you wondering why they weren't eliminating fighters left and right earlier on. I mean, if these robots could go toe-to-toe with Ultimate Gohan, why were they knocked away so easily by base Caulifla? So, for the story and pacing, this was the Megazord episode, and there were some cool and likable moments sprinkled in here and there, but I just found this episode to be mostly boring because of the timing of this fight. We're nearing towards the end of the tournament, and like I said after 118 aired, is there anyone who can honestly say that they think the final fight of the tournament is going to be Universe 11 versus Universe 3 or 4? Like episode 119, this episode should have been featured earlier in the tournament. The pacing could have been better. I just felt like the episode was dragging everything out. For the visuals and audio, this episode actually looked good. Way more dynamics in the fighting than last week. The soundtrack was great, though I do feel like the track played while the robots were merging was a little bit out of place, since I didn't really think that there was any tension in that scene in and of itself. I like that sound effect of when the robot's eye glows. Reminds me of Xenoverse. So for the character utilization, so with Universe 3, while I'm sitting there having a hard time believing they could go toe-to-toe with Ultimate Gohan, the way they fight by processing data and doing coordinated attacks at least sold them as well as they possibly could. The Megazord looks pretty interesting, I will have to admit, and I don't have a problem with it being able to fight seriously with Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan. It's running off of Power Rangers logic after all. So with Goku, Mr. Low Stamina is at it again. I still don't get how a minute or two is enough time to gain back enough power to where it seems like he's on par with Vegeta, and firing a Kamehameha that seems to rival his Gallic Gun. If Goku can gain back stamina even while in the middle of fighting as displayed in the fight with Caulifla and Kale, there was no reason for him to be holding back so much throughout the first part of this tournament. Goku and his ass pulls and artificial nerfing. So, for my overall rating for this episode, I will give it a 2.75 out of 5. This episode was better than last week. No question about it. I mean, I laid out pretty much everything I have to say about this episode. I was bored similar to last week, but I recognize that this episode was put together a lot better. The problem with these episodes featuring Universes 3 and 4 are how they feel like filler and just delaying the final fight between Universe 7 and 11. I guess that's why I was really bored with the first half of 120. Because we knew of the Megazord, everything before that fight was just padding. But next week, it looks like we're going to be seeing the conclusion of Universe 3 versus Universe 7. I think what excites me the most is how Frieza is finally going to stop messing around and get down to business. So those have been my thoughts on Dragon Ball Super, episode 120, and the next episode preview for 121. Let me know your thoughts on this episode down below in the comments section. And with that, thank you for watching, and have a great day, everyone.